Okay, right. Now, what's going on at Spurs, right? Why aren't things clicking? Why aren't things working for Spurs? Jose, Harry Kane, and we have to throw Bale in there. What exactly is going on at Tottenham Hotspur? I mean, they brought Jose in. They felt like Pochettino had hit a glass ceiling. He can't improve on how far he's taken the club, though, it was stride after stride up under Pochettino. Now Jose is there, and it's not working. At the beginning of the season, it looked like there was some progress. It looked like Spurs were finally headed somewhere. Now it looks like they might not even make the top four. What's not working at Spurs? What's not working? At this point, there's already rumors about Brendan Rodgers. Where do they
I,
start? What's the problem at Spurs?
I think it's a multitude of things at this point. Mourinho is felt more of a stopgap, and it's something I've always said. I respect Mourinho as a coach. I still think that he's failed to evolve as any other coaches did, especially with the way that Spurs initially played with their free flowing football. I think a lot of players enjoyed that type of football and wanted to play that. So now, being as a defensive-minded coach that Mourinho is, I don't think players really adopted to that mentality. Thus, you can see you speak of Gareth Bale, but when was the last time you saw Dele Alli play?
I mean,
And
listen, the players did adapt because Harry Kane was out here playing like a defensive midfielder. So they were doing what
yeah,
Mourinho was
no,
saying.
no,
It's just that is it
yeah,
still relevant?
no. I get it. I'm saying like Harry Kane was playing like that, but it wasn't the most ideal role for Harry Kane and so on. Like it will work. Okay, yeah, it will work for I don't know how long, but the fact at some point you could see that at some point that somehow your system's going to break. Harry Kane, who was scoring goals left, right, and center, is now becoming a provider consistently. All right, something as much as it's great to see him do that, but something's off. Harry Kane should still be out there being able to bang them in at a very high clip, and that became, and eventually the wheels came off. As much as you can say that now Spurs were doing well in the beginning, so were Chelsea, so were Liverpool. Look where they are now at the present moment. Chelsea are picking up a bit after a bit out under Tuchel, but it wasn't. I truly believe that the players didn't fully adopt the playing style because with Mourinho style, it's not about okay, we want to play for coach, we want to prove it right. If you don't really believe in that from start to finish of a season, we've seen players get frustrated and some are not adopted, specifically in Madrid. That and there's not enough. Some it's like there's not enough. Like he really Mourinho in terms of all his teams, he really relied on that very creative player in the middle who supply his front, and that's why I brought in Harry Kane doing that. That was never supposed to be the scenario. Son was to come from the wing as per usual. Harry Kane was supposed to stay there, um, and normally Bale would have come from the other flank. Then he would have had like at Madrid an Özil type of player who can pass the ball around and create the open area because his style of play has always been you start from the back, you solidify the back, and his attacking players have that freedom to somewhat flow and do whatever they want creatively. And to be honest, like I said, I haven't seen Mourinho's style of play evolve to adapt to today's game. And I think after over almost 2 decades of seeing it, people got used to it. And like, all right, he's gonna do this. So we're gonna play like this. Like the first time when he beat City. That was a typical Mourinho game. Like it's gonna work once in a while, but it's not gonna work all the time. As we can see with the return leg, City smashed them. So there's got to be he has to adapt to the way he plays. Unfortunately, otherwise it's going to be a dicey situation.
You know, so my argument is really based on what you just said, Siege, and that the fact that people know Mourinho. So you're saying the opposing teams have learned Mourinho. That means that the players that he coaches, once the Spurs players heard that Mourinho's coming, they must have known. Oh, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play. For me, that's an important element. So whoever we say, if that fact remains for external teams, it must also remain fact for his internal players. So the likes of Dele Alli and Bale are for me is a combination of two things, of a few things, and you can argue, you don't have to argue, it's fine. One is they don't want to do what Mourinho is requiring of them. That's probably what, and that's probably a simplistic view. But as a team, think about it. Look how Mourinho treats certain players. Look how he's treating Bale. Look how, well, not Bale, and specifically look how he's treated Ali. Who's to say that that will never happen to anybody else on the team? I think that creates content within a team. It creates issues. So this is the rule. If things don't happen a way that Mourinho wants, you get your ass whipped. You get slapped or spanked a little bit, and if you don't come back and react a little bit better, you get kicked out the team. A coach is not perfect, and Mourinho is one of the first to admit that. They make mistakes. They make decisions that are not correct or wrong. I think it's important for a Mourinho, for as part of his evolution, as part of his growth, to have those elements in him. And it's very hard for us to say from this perspective because we don't know what's necessarily happening inside there in the team, how he talks, how he admits things, etc. But from the outside, it all seems as if it's Mourinho's way, it's the highway, or you go home. It's his way or the highway. Basically, that's what it seems like. And for me, as a player, I came back it, yes, I'm going to do my best and do what I can for this particular team right now. But if I don't agree, what happens? If I think he's doing certain things wrong and we could be winning games, what happens? I'm going to get ousted. I think that there's a little bit of an element of that. So for me, those are the two things. If people outside can figure out Mourinho, it means internally they can figure him out as well. They know. Once Spurs heard Mourinho's coming, they must have known, we're going to play counter-attack and we're going to be defensive, and that's our game and that's our role. I don't think it's impacted Harry Kane as badly as people say. I just think there's certain elements that are always going to happen about Harry Kane. If he doesn't have the players around him that always supply him and always go forward, he's not going to score as many goals. He needs to do a little bit more work. And I'm not saying Harry Kane doesn't do a little bit more work, but that was always going to be the case. That's what I think.
Karabo, I understand that point. But another team that I would see that Mourinho will have a clash with players. If Mourinho was to coach Bayern Munich, as they are, he'll clash with Thomas Müller. Because Thomas Müller and Dele Alli kind of play the same. So as you're saying, I agree with you that whole thing that, okay, what if you disagree with something like that? And we saw that with Thomas Müller, with Niko Kovac, where there was that disagreement of his position. It looked like Thomas Müller was going to be out of the team. But under the new coach, things changed. And for me, that's the whole thing in terms of under Hansi Flick, yeah, things changed, and he got that same role and was able to play. That I understand coaches all need their type of players, but him going to Spurs, he would have said he would have known that he should have known that he doesn't have the same type of funding, especially this is Danny Levy, to change a club the way he normally does. So, all right, I want these type of players. I don't want him, sell him, do this. And this being Danny Levy. So he must, and this is why I say that he must somehow adjust the way he plays. So that, as you're saying, that if a player doesn't know how to, okay, if I'm going to disagree with this guy, that's the last time I'm going to be seen playing or be on the bench or anything. So it shouldn't be too contentious. You should also be able to look at the players you have and be able to adapt in that manner as a coach. Unless you've got stacks like Man City.
I mean, there's certain things I might agree with you and I might disagree with you because Mourinho's style is not attacking and flair like a Pep, a Guardiola, or whoever. We're saying it doesn't work. But I mean, history shows that it does work.
All right. Can I let me come in here? Right, let me come in here. So, two things, right? I mean, the financing thing is why Spurs are Spurs. This is why no one takes them seriously or expects them to challenge. You understand? So we know Spurs not going to give you any money. You could have put Pep in there wherever you wanted. They were just not going to succeed as Spurs because Spurs is a strange club, weird club. They sell astronomically, but when it's time to invest in their own club, it's a bunch of excuses. before it was the stadium. Stadium's done now. I'm sure now Corona is the reasoning, but they're just not going to invest. So that's the reality. That's one of the first things that was put forward when Mourinho went there. That okay, this really doesn't make sense. What kind of agreement did him and Levy come to about players and recruitment? Secondly, yes, Mourinho has to evolve, but I believe it's not evolving in playing style, it's evolving in management style. So Mourinho has to understand that he's now living in a time where players want the arm around the shoulder. That's just the reality. You speak to them nicely and say, guys, I'm trying to do this, you know, have that warm, fuzzy feeling. What Klopp develops, we understand. Then it works. Every time we see clubs with kind of aggressive managers and aggressive hierarchies, it's not working anymore. These players just down tools, you know. They collectively just say, no, we're not going to do it as a group. Next thing you're sacked. And that trend started with Mourinho at Chelsea. Since then, that's what players do. We've seen it at other clubs like Man United. I don't know if, you know, Garabo would be better suited to speak on clubs like Arsenal and stuff like that when it comes to that sort of trend. So I think he has to adapt in terms of management style. The playing style, you know, if executed correctly, it works. It works, you know, just as you saw in the first leg. But if you're executing it with guys that don't want to run through a brick wall for you,
who are not happy.
it's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to, like,
Right.
it's not going to work. People just don't care. For me, Kane this season, and seeing how he's tried to adapt to what Mourinho wants him to do, just shows me that the man is a world-class player with the right attitude and the right ability to play football. The only thing that holds back Kane are the niggling injuries. Otherwise, this is a world-class player. And in this conversation, really, it's about Kane's next step. What should Kane do now to go to the next level and be in that conversation of being the world's best striker? Because that's where he should be. What should Kane do? Where should Kane
For me
go?
personally, he has to leave. There's no way. The one thing I read was him going to City and being the top dog there. If Kane finds a team like a City, I think he'll be definitely seen as the best number 9 in the world.
Yep.
For me, he has to leave.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's City. It's not far-fetched to believe that. I mean, if Aguero is in his last days, Jesus has never really kicked on to become the player, you know, that Pep thought he'd be. So, you know, that would make sense. You know, that would make sense. I think Kane would have made sense for Man United a few years ago, but now I don't even know what's going on there. So it's either City. Real Madrid needs a striker, yeah? I think Benzema said he wants to go finish his career in France or something like that. So Madrid might be an option. And Barcelona, since
But
they have
Madrid
Messi
also
as the
wants
false nine.
Mbappe. I know they want Mbappe. They want Casavinga. They just want a lot of players. It's just not like okay, but I don't know. A Kane from a Daniel Levy is not going to cost 150 million. That's for sure.
That's interesting. How much is Kane going to cost?
Kane will
I
charge
really think.
200 M.
Sorry, what did you say, C?
I think Kane will charge 200 M.
Yeah. I also think easy 180, 190, 200. Easy. From Spurs, easy. To Madrid,
English.
easy.
200.
Easy.
And Pacey.
Ah,
English and Pacey. I'm trying to see his contract situation. They signed a 6-year contract, but I can't see when he signed it. How long does Harry Kane have left?
I
Until
think it's probably
2024.
2018. Yeah, so 2018.
So he's got 3 years left on his contract. Do you guys think
Yeah.
someone with 3 years can go for 200 million?
He's gonna go for 200 million, boss. We're talking about Spurs, boss.
This is Danny Levy, boy.
Yeah,
That,
Yeah, I wonder.
even if he's got 1 day left on his contract, that guy will try selling for 200 million.
I really wonder. I mean, when he signed the contract, I was shocked. But that's the thing, when you're not thinking with your head and this boyhood love for the club, you know? Or, you know, you've got this vision. It's like what we're saying earlier about Coutinho going to Barca, where you're not looking at where the club is realistically in this moment. You know, you're either thinking about glory days or your love for the club. 6-year contract is ridiculous for a player like that. It's like he had no, he has no intention of leaving that club. And not only did he have no intention of leaving the club, he thought that these guys were going to be successful. And the other 8 billion people on this planet, no, Spurs is not going to be successful.